Here's a great car that's dumb. I love it even though it doesn't make sense. It's a Mini Clubman. It's a Mini, marginally longer in an almost minuscule amount, and it has barn doors, which is exactly like a regular Mini, except in that it's harder to see out of the back. It's amazing, and it's why it's the #1 best-selling car in America right now. I just want to point out this 1967 Mustang, which is a classic street park survivor in the classic car spotting style. Yes, here we are in Gowanus, observing some of the cars of the neighborhood, and you actually see a bunch of cars like this, which are just really old, I guess traditionally desirable cars that are just still being owned by some guy who bought one in 1988 or whatever and is still holding on to it. I should probably be able to date when this car was updated by the fact that these 1990s or 2000s-ish looking Pioneer speakers, the interior is in great shape, and the rest of the car, the owner does not give a flying fuck. It's got a lot of surface rust and chrome pocking, whatever you call that. But obviously it looks like it's in great mechanical shape, and it's exactly the kind of car that we look for. So aside from having the really cool gas cap thing with some nice texture on it, and really one of my favorite old school taillights with these like super deep dish, we also can see in the fake realm, instead of having dual exhaust pipes, one on either side, they've just put these little lights on there. So this is a 1967 Mustang. How do I know that this is a 1967 Mustang? Well, obviously, I could look at the registration because it's in New York, and that's cheating, though. You don't do that. We don't do that here. We do that. Anyway, you can see that year to year, they did different side molding trim. So these fake brake duct vents were different from year to year. And the 1967's got these Testarossa strikes. You see Ford engineers went into a time machine and then went forward 20 years into the mid-1980s, copied the Ferrari Testarossa, and then came back in time to put them on this car. We make a lot of complaints about things like the Honda Civic Type R as having fake vents in new cars these days, so it's like all this fake styling. Yeah. Here's your classics. Fake vents. This is the car, and it's got a fake vent on it. The real nerd way of telling sort of a 1967 from 1968, they look very similar up front. This is like the Bullet generation one. That's a 68. Those cars had federally mandated side indicator reflector lights so that if you're driving down the road at night, coming up on a country intersection, your headlights would illuminate the little corner marker. Cars before then just didn't have it. It would just, if you drove a dark car at night, your car was just invisible. Instead, one thing that you do see on these cars, if you come over here, you can see on the hood in those fake vents are indicators. Look at that. Isn't that neat? That's where you want your side indicators. You want them right in the hood. Already by 1967, American cars, as we think of them, you think of it as a classic era for muscle cars and for the American car industry. But if you look carefully, you can see that they were already starting to cheap out on stuff. If you look at a car maybe 5 years earlier, or even a few years earlier, like a Thunderbird or something, they'll have these really ornate side mirrors. And these ones are really a lot more like just plain utilitarian. It wouldn't be that much longer before these were really cheap and were just like plastic and flimsy. But this is the start of an end. We also get to see lots of other cool stuff like a dent, which shows that this car is being used. It's not just a show vehicle. The rest is actually in really great shape. And you get to see these little arrow strakes. These things are cool. They're very stylish. If you're not familiar with the Mustang, it's sort of the great pretender of cars. Under the skin, it's basically a Ford Falcon. A lot of them basically just came with super economical straight sixes. But if you were willing to go up the options list, you could get big V8s in them, you could get really fancy trim, and the idea was that the car's styling entices you to get into the showroom, and then they just like pull money out of you through the options list. That was a Lee Iacocca joint. And it's a revolutionary way of selling cars. That's how we buy them now. It's super optioned up and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, excuse me. Is this your car? Oh, hello. Do you mind if I grab you for a second? How long have you had this thing?
It's new actually. I just bought like a couple months ago.
No shit. It's amazing. It's like that perfect, like, you know, it drives good, but it's like not over restored.
Yep, everything is good. I'm gonna do a couple more things, but that's it.
Is it a V8 or a straight six or?
This is a 6.
Nice.
This is 6.
Wow. Where did you find the thing?
We just bought it from Pennsylvania actually.
Home of all the like American car V8 circle track. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Cheers, a pleasure. What a nice man. See, I bet you that on average, a straight 6 Mustang owner, nicer guy than a V8 Mustang owner. Very cool car to see on the street, and just the sort of thing you find in Gowanus, here in a sort of more industrial chunk of it. Gowanus being a great neighborhood to store your items, not have garbage, as you will see from there, not garbage, or grind and weld some steel, apparently. And that's where guys drive still very low-key restored Survivor Mustangs. It's like still got super narrow tires on it. It's not like an internet magazine super speed hunter's car. It's just pretty cool Survivor. I love it. So good. We'll go look for some more cars elsewhere down the block. There's actually a bunch of cars right in this little chunk of the neighborhood. If you're in Gowanus and you're from Gowanus, you'll be screaming, why am I not looking at some other car which is just around the way we're getting to? All right, take care. Bye. Well, actually,